Coming up on the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast, we celebrate the best in tech in Indiana and talk to several Mira Award winners, including Scale Up of the Year, Innovation of the Year, Best New Tech Product, and Tech Educator of the Year. The INnovators with Dr. K spotlights a digital marketing agency. An Indy company is tipping the scales against the state's obesity epidemic. And we look at some of the biggest economic development stories so far this year. Welcome to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. I'm Andy Ober. Every year, Indiana's technology initiative, TechPoint, celebrates the best in tech with the Mira Awards. This year's event drew over 1,400 to downtown Indianapolis. Alongside TechPoint CEO Mike Langelier, Inside Indiana Business shines a spotlight on several of the winners. First, we turn to Scale Up of the Year winner, Viral Launch. The company provides a software-as-a-service platform that targets Amazon sellers by automating the process. Inside Indiana Business host Gary Dick talked to President Mitch Black and CEO Casey Gauss right after they won the award.
It's a major tailwind for us. So if you look at the e-commerce space overall, almost 50% of it is in Amazon's hands, where second place is eBay with just 6-something%. So Amazon's growth has been significant. The amount of market share that Amazon is taking for e-commerce has just been a major tailwind for us.
Mitch, as you talk about growth at Viral Launch, it's phenomenal. And I know you've got a commitment to 250 jobs by the end of 2021. That's an aggressive plan.
Yeah, it is. We feel pretty good about it. And, kind of echoing what Casey was saying about the marketplace, we feel like the company's in a great position right now to take advantage of what's going on in the Amazon marketplace. Really, in addition to not just being 50% of the overall market, what they're doing in terms of advertising is also a tailwind for us, because our technology actually helps enable the brands that we serve better promote the listing that they have and better advertise it.
And everybody talks about talent. In addition to entrepreneurial folks like Casey, it's the leadership team that has been put together, again, from right here in central Indiana.
Some of us have been here before with other companies, and it's pretty cool, I think, what's going on here in, not just the state, but even specifically Indianapolis, and our ability to get talent and retain that talent, incredibly important. And I think all the things that TechPoint has done has really helped enable companies like Viral Launch and so many others to be successful.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about your outlook, not only for Viral Launch, but for the tech growth in central Indiana and around the state. You bullish on where Indiana is, but where Indiana can be in a few years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's interesting because last year we had a very small capital raise, and this year we're going through another capital raise to continue to fuel our growth. And just talking to all of the venture capitalists that are out there, whether the West Coast or the East Coast or in the Midwest now, there's so much interest in what's going on in the Midwest. And a couple of the cities they talk about the most are like Indianapolis, Columbus, Cincinnati. But Indy itself, I think, has something really special going on right now.
TechPoint CEO Mike Langelier joins me now, and we'll offer perspective on throughout this first half hour of the show on some of the winners from that big evening for tech. Mike, is always welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Let's start out with the Scale Up of the Year Viral Launch. What a story that company is. And then the co-founder, Casey Gauss, a big Rising Star winner as well.
Indeed. Casey's that kind of prototypical startup entrepreneur story. He was a college student at Indiana Wesleyan, had the inspiration for this idea. He dropped out, taught himself how to code, started this company, bootstrapped it up until really the course of the past year, and then had a breakout 2018 where they bolstered the leadership team, like what you highlighted in the video. And they grew revenue by triple digits. They doubled the workforce from 30 to 66 over the course of that year, just for a young company. And now they've got 8,000 brands and 40,000 products that are on their platform. And as they look ahead, they recently had a jobs announcement that they were going to hire 250 people over the course of the next few years. So it's a really, really good story. And
a great example of a startup that is really generating job commitments and impacting the economy.
Indeed. Yeah, I think these kind of breakout scale-up stories we just need more and more of these. And we're in a position of strength right now where these companies can scale. You have kind of established leadership like Mitch that can drop in to help bolster this team and help to lead it to the next level.
Give us your reaction to the event itself. Amazing crowd, amazing evening. It keeps getting bigger every year.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's the Oscars of tech in Indiana, and it's you walk in and it's the who's who of the tech community that's all present there. As you spotlighted, 1,400 people in attendance, sold out a month ahead of time. So it is a really, really fun event, and it's a great way for us to showcase what's going on all across the tech spectrum here in the state.
Still to come, we talk with the winners in the Best New Tech Product and Tech Educator of the Year categories. But first, the Innovation of the Year went to Carmel-based Innovative Neurological Devices. The company has created Cervella, an FDA-cleared medical device for non-drug treatment of anxiety, insomnia, and depression. CEO Bert Wachlovic talked about the potential game changer.
The traditional treatment for treating these disorders, anxiety, depression, and insomnia, have been antidepressants, commonly known as SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Those are the drugs many of you heard about, like Zoloft and Prozac, but unfortunately for a lot of people they have severe contraindications. So we've embarked on a non-drug approach to it, and the product Cervella that we received FDA clearance for in March treats it with electrical stimulation through the patient's brain.
Okay, talk about Cervella. And again, you got the FDA, received the FDA clearance there, a big step. Talk about the product.
Type of the device that we will soon manufacture is called cranial electrotherapy stimulator. And they've been around actually for a number of years. But what we try to do is we try to make the technology more user-friendly. Typically, when you're using the stimulator, you have to wear the electrodes on the forehead, on the temples, or on the mastoid area and behind the ears or earlobes. Unfortunately, as you can imagine, a lot of people that have anxiety disorders or depression, they will not want to use a device like that in public where those type of scenarios occur, anxiety, for instance, attacks. So what we've done is we've designed a device that looks like a pair of ordinary over-ear headphones, and we've integrated the electrodes into the ear cushions of the headphones. So for all intents and purposes, the onlookers think that person's just listening to some music, because they are actually a fully functional Bluetooth noise-canceling headphones. So the patient can listen to music, but also is receiving a medical treatment at the same time. And as you can imagine, again, the attacks occur often outside of the comfort of the home, so now the patients can use the treatment anywhere.
What's the potential that you see for this product?
It is worldwide. We actually launched the product just last month at the Anxiety and Depression Conference in Chicago. And since launching the product, we've received thousands of inquiries and pre-orders already for a product that we actually haven't yet started manufacturing and selling. I think there's going to be a huge demand for this type of a non-drug treatment.
Fascinating story, Bart, a really interesting entrepreneur. And Mike, as we hear so much about the need to get away from dependence on medications, and at the same time, conditions like anxiety, depression are on the rise. Here's innovation created right here in Indiana that looks to address it.
Yeah, not only is the approach novel and really important because of what it treats and how it treats it, but also that it's discreet, right? It kind of, it honors the person and how they want to be treated, and knowing that they need to be treated, they need to have this treatment in public a lot of times. The other really neat part of the story is it's a crossover story between tech and some really interesting tech applications that are enabling this new innovation. But it's at the intersection of med device, which has a heritage in Indiana, and also manufacturing. As he said, manufacturing this product is going to be the next big hurdle. But they're over that initial big hurdle of FDA clearance, which is a really big deal.
That is. Carmel-based company looks to be manufacturing soon.
Later in the podcast, we talk to the Tech Educator of the Year and shine the Innovators with Dr. K spotlight on a digital marketing company. But now, blockchain as a service platform Simba Chain earned Best New Tech Product of the Year honors. The cloud-based product allows users to create blockchain-distributed applications for iOS, Android, and the web. CEO Joel Neidig and Chief Technology Officer Ian Taylor joined us to talk about the platform.
It's like a WordPress for blockchain. So if anybody wants to come on and develop a distributed application, they can come on our platform and deploy it without having to know any type of coding whatsoever.
Okay. And Ian, how did it come about? Because I think that's an interesting story.
I'm a professor at Notre Dame, and I had a couple of programmers look at blockchain, look at Ethereum network, and I said, go and figure it out. It took them about a month. A cool idea for a company is take that month and make it 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we've done.
Great. Well, talk about the process and getting to that point, what that ride has been like.
We started off with a grant with DARPA, which is a defense agency that does most of the skunk works for the Army. And then we've just won several other grants beyond that, small business innovation research grants, raised a pre-seed round already led by Elevate Ventures, and are continue to scale the company now.
Ian, as you look at this process in growing a company like this in Indiana, what's that process been like?
So we've been out of Notre Dame, and we've got an office at Idea Center. Mm-hmm. We've been kind of recruiting there, but we've also had distributed help.
Well, how about, you mentioned Notre Dame, how about Notre Dame's involvement and engagement in technology?
They're cultivating an amazing culture there for sort of like growing companies, encouraging innovation, encouraging growth of that innovation.
Joel, you mentioned defense contracts. Talk about some of those big deals you have out there.
Yeah, so it's not traditional even for Indiana to win some of these larger defense contracts. And sometimes it's in manufacturing for the most part. So being in software and development, it's very interesting. So what we've done is we've actually gone out and won some sole solicited non-compete contracts. And those have come in the form of basically a phase 3 of our initial work that we did with DARPA. So it's been very exciting. So it's multiple agencies, not just Navy, Army, but also Air Force.
So, Mike, blockchain and cybersecurity, two buzzwords we hear a lot about.
Yeah, I love multiple things about this story. One of them is this is a really hot area, important area that we critically need solutions for. Gartner says this is a market segment that is going to top $124 billion. So it's great to have a company here that's playing in that space. The other part that I love about this story is that it kind of daisy chains together so many ecosystem players, right? You've got a DARPA grant that in partnership with Notre Dame leads to the formation of this technology and company that then receives Elevate funding to help get it going and off the ground, that then receives a Mira Award. Is just an awesome story about how the whole chain can work and why these platforms exist. And then I think the other aspect of this is that this is this blockchain technology, is one that's going to attract interest from all over the country, all around the world, because this is such a hot topic. And
another example of technology and innovation is statewide, not just here in Central Indiana.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. This is, based in, because of its proximity to Notre Dame, based in South Bend. A study we did a couple years ago. A lot of people don't realize half of the IT workforce in the state is actually outside of Central Indiana. So there is a lot of presence here. And Notre Dame's doing some remarkable things, as I said, about creating a culture and putting the resources in place with the Idea Center and the work that Brian Ritchie and team are doing up there.
Very good.
Remember, you can catch Inside Indiana Business Television on stations throughout the state every weekend. Head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com to check listings. Still to come, a digital marketing company joins the INnovators with Dr. K, and the Indiana Chamber partners with a small Indy company to fight the state's obesity epidemic. But first, we wrap up our Mira Spotlight with IvyWorks director Ariel Crawley, the winner of the Tech Educator of the Year award. The program aims to bring more women into the world of technology. She came into our on-site studio with more.
IvyWorks is a program for female Ivy Tech students who are looking to pursue a degree certificate or technical certificate in information technology. Our program, I say, is a perfect marriage between Ivy Tech Community College and Indy Women in Tech. And what we do is help support those women in their academic pursuits at Ivy Tech. While they're doing that, we also give financial assistance, transportation assistance, child care. We pretty much cover all wraparound support to make sure the ladies are able to persist. And then we also add professional development. So our goal is when the ladies are walking across the stage with their cap and gown, hopefully that Monday they're walking into a job into one of the tech industries here.
Yeah, and I think the important piece is the academic support is really almost secondary to all the support services, right? Talk about how those how you administer, how you give those services and the difference that they can make.
So we give those items by actually going to the tech company and seeing what are you looking for, what kind of items or soft skills do you need in some of your open positions, and then we actually reach out to those companies as well to help us out. So we do mock interviews where we might have HR from maybe TechPoint or different organizations come out and give our ladies strong but good feedback so that they know exactly where they need to be and exactly where they need to work on.
Do you see opportunity for growth?
Of course, as much as the tech workforce is growing here in Indiana, we definitely see opportunity to get more women. So we're hoping with more additional funding that we'll be able to open it up to more women and open up more women who can enter in the tech workforce and help reduce that gender gap here in Indiana.
Mike, Ariel Crowley is committed. She's passionate about what she does. A lot of competition for this award, and I think a very deserving winner.
Yeah, it is a rigorous judging process. 52 volunteer judges put in 850 hours to review and screen every application and in-person interviews for over 100 of them. So a big deal for all these winners, and Ariel included. Ariel's story is so amazing because she rises above the call of just a job. I mean, this is really a passion for her, and she embraces that this is a key gateway for individuals that just need a shot to be able to get into the workforce. And this mission of making tech accessible to women and people of all demographic backgrounds is critically important, and she's doing just a wonderful job to make it happen.
Big takeaways. Another theme I know as we were talking off camera, there's so much excitement and momentum, and you got this feeling that there's a lot of people really want to think big and think outside of the state.
Yeah, in the lead up to Mira, it's about Indiana companies, right? And so it's a focus on a lot of times companies inside the state, but we're at this place of bullishness now and opportunity where we're looking outside the state, and there's a sense that now's our time. Recently, LinkedIn and Zillow did an analysis looking at the locations, what they call the sweet spots where job opportunity and housing affordability intersect. Indianapolis ranked number one. And this is at a time when you look at the places like the Bay Area and Seattle, Austin, New York City, Washington, D.C., Chicago, et cetera, there's a lot of pain for companies and for people that are living there. I think the opportunity for all of us as Hoosiers is to be bold evangelists now. We all know people that we went to school with, grew up with, who are living outside the state. Now's the time to bring them back and to be really talking really aggressively. And that's a campaign that we launched at the Mira Awards, actually, at techpoint.org/here, where people can tell us, nominate those people for an event that we're going to have in the fall.
Great event once again, Mike. Congratulations on Super Mira Awards. We appreciate the partnership as well and look forward to what's next.
Thanks for being part of it, Gary.
All right.
Later in the podcast, a company is seeing some success in battling Indiana obesity, and our ION Economic Development segment looks at a busy first few months of 2019. But now, Indianapolis-based Peak 15 Marketing says it aims to help drive local in-store sales for businesses by helping them own their own neighborhood. Partner and digital marketing lead Andrew Vitale joined us on the INnovators with Dr. K.
So tell the audience, what is Peak 15 Marketing? What's it trying to do?
That's a great question. Peak 15 Marketing, as Gary explained, is actually a digital marketing agency that we founded about 2 years ago in Fishers. It is focused on local and mobile first. And we work with proprietary technology that we built to target consumers on Facebook and Instagram with offers and incentives.
Okay, great. That's great. And I know you've got some partners, too, involved in this, right?
We do. It's myself and then Jim Brantley, Chuck East, and then we just added Curtis White to our digital team, and we have a great sales and support staff.
Sounds like a good team. Now, you've come up with this new innovation called Close the Loop. Can you kind of tell us what that is?
So Close the Loop is a way for us to really kind of bridge that digital divide between tracking what you're doing from an online marketing standpoint to what happens in store and somebody coming in and actually being a customer.
Okay.
So we actually have a technology that we sort of flip the script on how we're doing tracking, and it allows when a consumer comes into the store and they show their phone to show an offer.
Right.
And we actually pick up the signal right away and then have real-time reporting so the business knows, did somebody bring an offer in? And it's a part of our overall social package.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So where did this idea for this concept come from?
So, we have been working with probably nearly 200 businesses over the last 2 years, all around Indiana. So we've been working with companies like IHOP and Dairy Queen, Ball State, IUPUI, And actually, we launched it at the end of last year with IUPUI.
Okay.
And they were able to actually, for the first time, understand for a men's basketball game, is somebody that's coming showing an offer at the box office,
right,
so they could actually see what is going on and the redemption of that offer.
Interesting. So what do you see as the market? Now, you mentioned a couple of clients you're working with already, but what's the market for this idea of close the loop?
That's a great question. So we work with and focus on the business owner of a single or multiple franchise,
right,
kind of like we talked about with IHOP or Dairy Queen. It's really events driven. Any place that there is a brick and mortar location and you're spending digital dollars and you want to understand the attribution to that. Essentially place accountability on the dollars that you're spending digitally into a physical marketplace. What did I get out of my campaign? And then should I continue to do it?
Right.
So
makes sense. It's as an internally created innovation. Okay.
True.
How will this enhance Peak 15 marketing, do you think?
So it's a great question. We really feel like this is a differentiator. We've rolled out with our Facebook and Instagram program that targets a lot of small business owners, restaurants, entertainment places, automotive, home services, and then we continue to enhance. So there is not a technology that really exists for this type of tracking. We're geofencing each location instantly and getting a real-time report. So it ends up being a differentiator that we can speak to businesses for them to understand where they're spending money.
Excellent. So what are some future plans for Close the Loop and Peak Marketing? What do you see in the future here now?
So we're going to continue to push out. We're in 5 Midwestern states right now. We've continued to expand throughout the Midwest. We want to go nationwide with what we're doing.
Great.
We continue to add partners to that. Not only on the client level, but somebody like Valpak has kind of come along to understand what is going on so they can start tracking their coupon usage for everything that they mail out.
Boy, that's great. Well, as I do on each and every show, Andrew, I try to give some prescriptions, Dr. K's prescriptions, to help you. And so I've come up with what I call the 3 nevers for growing innovative firms, and you're more of an innovation inside of a firm. But first one was never assume the adoption by your current customer base. You can't just assume because, Peak 15's got these customers, they're just going to, keep jumping in on stuff. The second one is never believe you're ahead of the competition because as you know, I think you know this from your experiences, the minute you do think that, competition's right on your tail,
Oh, yeah.
And the third one is never think that you have all the answers. In other words, seek out that continuous customer feedback. So in case you have to pivot or make some moves, you can because you're getting the latest information from your current customers.
Well, thank you very much.
So I hope those help.
Yeah, no, those are great. I appreciate it.
So where can our audience find you?
So actually, you can find us at peakxvmarketing.com, and the XV is 15.
In the Roman numerals, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you all the best, Andrew.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
There you have it, Gary. A pretty interesting digital innovation inside of Peak 15 marketing that I think is going to make real impact right here in Indiana.
Still to come, we run the gamut of Indiana's top economic development stories so far this year. But first, a recent study pegs the cost of Indiana's obesity epidemic at more than $8 billion in 2017. To address the issue, the Indiana Chamber is partnering with a small Indianapolis company that's seen a lot of success on the scales. On Target CEO Todd Fouché and Indianapolis Airport Authority Senior Director of Human Resources Rachel Hernandez-Stevens joined Kylie Valletta in the business of health.
Well, Todd, first of all, congratulations on the new partnership.
Yes, it's a great partnership. We feel very fortunate to be partnering with the Wellness Council.
There are a lot of options out there for employers who want to help their employees lose weight. But you say your program is unique because it focuses on a person's physiology. Explain what that means.
When we take a physiology approach, we're measuring a person's body composition, how much of their total scale weight is coming from fatty tissue, water, or muscle. We also measure their metabolism, which will vary for every single person. Those 2 measurements will help us identify the caloric intake for each person to help get their bodies to attack fatty tissue and improve health outcomes.
So really almost a different program for each person.
It's designed for each person.
And you've worked with a long list of Indiana employers, Wayne Township Schools, Hillenbrand, of course, the Indianapolis Airport Authority. So Rachel, before we talk about what this has meant for your individual employees, tell us how this program has helped your organization as a whole, big picture perspective.
Sure, Kylie. I'm a research geek. I love to read, and study after study after study shows us that healthier employees are happier and more productive employees. So not only does it benefit our bottom line specifically, but it also is helpful to those employees with their work and in their personal lives, which is exactly what we want to do at the Indianapolis airport. We want to make sure our employees are happy and healthy so they can be more productive at home and at work.
And you have some good numbers to show that on a big picture
incredible
perspective.
numbers.
Yeah.
So we've been working with Todd's group for the last year. We have just about 70 employees in the program, and collectively they've lost about 350 fatty pounds, specifically fatty pounds. And it's just incredible. We've got employees that have gone off medications and reversed trends getting into obesity-related medical conditions. And so it's all good news for us.
And I'm sure you work with some of these people one-on-one. Are they
Absolutely.
excited? What do you hear from them?
I have employees who come into my office on a regular basis who are just thanking me all the time for bringing this organization to the IAA because it is getting them to a healthier place in their life. Many of them have given up medications that are costing them money out of their own pocket, and for them, that's just a big win-win for everybody.
And one stat from Alliance for a Healthier Indiana says obese employees per 100 generate more than $51,000 in medical claims each year, compared to only $7,500 for healthy weight workers. So, Todd, why should employers take action and maybe think outside the box in the way that they do it?
Using those numbers alone, if an employer engages, as the airport authority has, in a program that can reduce their medical expenses by those significant dollars, but prediabetes, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, musculoskeletal issues, acid reflux, sleep apnea, all of these issues are very much related to too much fatty tissue in the body. So to help educate employees and their families on how to get their bodies to attack and reduce fatty tissue generates the return, the engagement, and the improved outcomes that the employers are looking for.
And just a few seconds left, but speaking of success stories, you're an entrepreneur. You started On Target just 5 years ago. You have doubled your revenue every year, so you're seeing a lot of growth at your company.
And that growth is truly indicative of employers in the community, even hospitals. Major hospital in Shelbyville, Indiana is also now a participant in the program. So every industry, we're having the similar results, and it's a call to the community to help join us in addressing one of Indiana's greatest crises.
All right, well, Todd and Rachel, thank you both for being here today, and good luck as you move forward and with the partnership.
Thank you.
And finally this week, we look at the biggest economic development stories of 2019 so far, ranging from a new deal to keep the Pacers in fever in town to hate crimes and budget debates. KSM Location Advisor CEO Tim Cook and President Katie Culp had more in our Eye on Economic Development segment.
We begin with the Pacers deal. I call it the Pacers deal, but the fever are involved, and it involves major renovations to Bankers Life Fieldhouse. A big number, talk of in total over 25 years, including operation, $800 million. At the end of the day, your take on this, on getting this deal done?
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, this is part and parcel of our reputation and our economy. And can you imagine what would happen if we didn't continually reinvest?
There's some who make the argument, is the investment, is there a return on investment? And from a dollars and cents standpoint, but then there's also, in addition to that, there is that quality of life, quality of place, the image as a professional city that has some economic impact as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacer deal, it's not a jobs deal. It's about what does this give to the broader community. I know with this project, they're talking about some amenities within that area that could potentially have some impact, not just around that immediate area, but as you get to the east side. So to Katie's point, though, you can't lose the Pacers.
Yep. As you look at challenges facing cities like Indianapolis, but others around the country, I mentioned that statistic through the first week of April, year to date, this year, 2019, more retail closures in the U.S. than all of last year. That's an amazing statistic.
Yeah, the times they are changing, I mean, and these are really difficult problems for cities and states everywhere to grapple with. Because these are big spaces, and how do you redevelop that with people working remotely? I mean, it's not an easy backfill with office. The city's doing some cool things to try to address it.
Yeah, I think if you look at what Mayor Hogsett and his administration have done, they've made Castleton a priority, Lafayette Square. They're doing the right things because the reality is different now. Retail is not where it was even 5 years ago. It's going to continue to change, and we've got to be proactive on it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch that evolve in the coming months and years. Governor Holcomb has signed a hate crimes bill going into this session of the legislature. That was expected to be a hot button issue. It was. The bill was signed. Republican supporters of the bill claimed victory. Others don't go quite as far, don't think it went far enough to really make a statement.
Yeah, I'm afraid it's a bit of a hollow victory. We have such a thriving business climate that it's so unfortunate to have this legacy of perceived intolerance following us around.
Yeah, and Governor Holcomb deserves a lot of credit. I don't think anything gets passed if he doesn't take that leadership role.
Yes.
But to Katie's point, it was a missed opportunity. If you look at, let's say I'm a CEO of a company in Austin, I'm looking in Indianapolis, I might have preconceived notions about what this culture is. What I saw the last 3 months, it probably doesn't change my viewpoint. We've really got to change some of these cultural cues that we're sending to companies. Getting off a list is fine, but it's a bigger problem than that.
Another big issue in the state, obviously, is workforce development and getting that trained workforce. The bill making its way through the State House has really been beefed up with funding at the state level.
Yeah, so, and again, this is a credit to Governor Holcomb. Next level jobs, this has been an issue he's passionate about and has worked hard towards. They've doubled the funding for that program, which is great news. The legislature seems to be very focused on workforce development now and real focused on certifications and that type of thing, which is good. But some of the programs like the IEDC's Skills Enhancement Fund have been under attack.
Yeah, you've got to remove some of those constraints so that companies can use the money and they're not just trying to go through some bureaucratic maze to get access to those funds.
How, Tim, when you look at workforce training and these, it's such a big issue, but from an economic development standpoint, put it in perspective how important having these training programs and venues and avenues in place, how important it is.
They're critical, and it goes across every industry. We have it with our tech clients, we have it with our industrial clients. Any industry that's trying to fill a void, whether it's locally trying to find those people or trying to import talent, they have some programs that are working very, very effectively, but we've got to make sure we don't disable what makes them so effective.
That'll be an issue we'll be talking about for a long time. Katie Culp and Tim Cook, thanks for some great perspective on some of the top issues in the state.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
And that wraps up this week's Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. Remember, you can find all of this week's TV segments, as well as the top business news from throughout the state, at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to our platform of free e-newsletters. This is Andy Ober for Inside Indiana Business.